All right, we see a little bit of nerves, some nail biting. Who is able to come down from the adrenaline rush from last game? See some close-ups on Ruler. Everybody seems a little bit nervous. A lot of dry lips. Guma's looking stoic. Like that. Owner's looking stoic. Who's able to come down, right? So you go in and you meet with your team, and you've got 8 people in the other room watching that game, and they're going over coaching tips. You want to be very careful not to over indulge. You also don't want to overanalyze. You want to stick to the things that you've practiced, to the things that you've rehearsed, things that you feel very comfortable with. So anyways, going into this draft, we've got Rakan Band, Rumble, Oriana, Poppy. We've got Nico, Jarvan. So all OPs being targeted. Leaves Kalista open, Ashe in response. So I take Ashe in this trade, but it does mean that we get Owner and Faker playing on very comfortable picks. They're very comfortable putting this pairing together. They've played a lot of Rel and Azir. Kalista dancing around the edge of the fight should be very familiar territory. Now, Taliyah is something that we expected to see a lot of as an answer to the Azir. Playing long range, you can stay out of the way, you can poke back, you can go for these long range disruptions in the fights. Renata does end up going over. Wait. Oh, okay, yeah, there we go. The fact that they're able to flex the jungle and support environment, you might say that T1's not likely to be a flex here because Owner has played the majority of their rel. They like to play engaged from the jungle, especially when they have carries on the mid and top. It allows Owner to play a supportive role. T1 seems to be the best in this situation. Renata's been dominating in this environment, 11-3. This combination of Kalista Renata is something that you should have broken up, and I think this is a big miss from JDG. The fact that they banned Pyke and Bard, Pyke is a pretty big reach. I understand not wanting to face against Bard because of how good it was against you in game 1, but letting Renata get paired with Kalista has to be a surprise. T1 might have been thinking, what could they be planning for us if we have this picked? Are they trying to flex? You could move some people over. You could put Wukong into the top lane. You could put Taliyah into the jungle. You could put Varus mid, but it would be kind of bizarre to do that. You're putting everyone on their second best role when you do that. So instead, they keep it as Ashe Varus. They've got the Taliyah. JDG has a pretty clear plan as far as, Renekton's going to try to flank in. Taliyah's going to try to wall off the exits. And you're going to try to play front to back with a lot of engage from the support position, right? Generally, though, when you play Varus Ashe, you want to have a bigger carry up in the top lane. You tend to want to have your hyper carry to come from a different position. And Taliyah is more of a supportive mage. Renekton's more of a supportive top laner. You have a dominant laning phase, but then what do you do as far as ending the game from there? Is Wukong, are you trying to get this big wombo combo together with ultimates? You can see it working. Like, these champions definitely have go buttons together. They can all press their R buttons, but Taliyah has to be very precise with her ultimate, which is one of the reasons this champion's been having a lack of success. When you press that ultimate, you really need to have a defined plan in mind. And in this case, when you press her ultimate, it's very easy for someone like Renata to say, okay, I will press mine, and we will disengage, or we will try to play with an advantage to start this fight, right? Taliyah doesn't actually have that for themselves. But moreover, it's largely going to come down to who has their mindset right, who's feeling more comfortable in this game state. The Varus Ashe is something that T1 used to great success last week, and now it's being used against them. We expect them to have a very good plan against these two champions. JDG is going for an invade, and they're actually baiting leaving and coming back. And you see Owner's position, it seems like they have a pretty good idea about this. They're going to try to set their web, and they're going to try to entrap them right now. Now, I hate dropping this ward here. This is something that generally just comes at a loss, because when you give it up, it empowers zombie ward if they have it. But moreover, just even if they don't have zombie ward, the fact that you're getting the solo laners that much closer to level 2, it seems like we're going to get another 10-man in here. Aatrox is pulling out, going to go for the advantage up in the top lane. If you don't go for your level 1 against Renekton will tend to steamroll this matchup. So you have to be very careful. Now, they are playing for a 4v4. No Azir stepping out. 3v3. Rel is favored coming out of this for the smite change. Now, what you might go is just a Raptors trade, and you don't need to use your smite in return. You might opt to, especially with Kanavi here. Didn't actually need to use the smite there because Kanavi just used it on red. So perhaps a little bit of nerves here. Now Guma right here, long range situation. Renata using the heal aggressively. They try to position themselves in a good spot, but it means that both heals get used right away. Big advantage to Kalista and Renata, going to be that much easier to get onto these two. Now interesting, we have a Raptors into Wolves start because I think Wukong got 2 of those Raptors. That means that Rel's not going to be able to hit level 3. Unless she was able to get 5 and Gromp is enough, but I don't think she's going to. I think she's going to have to accept that her start is a level 2 start, and she's going to have to go 3 camps at level 2. Now, if they have any inkling that Wukong's down on this bot lane and going for a gank, then Rel can go for more invades and try to get things back, and it looks like she's going to get this unperturbed. Now it's up to T1 to outplay this dive. Here we go. Wukong's in. Let's look at the position. They both hover the bot side. Renata doesn't have access to 2 levels in spells. Kalista gets chunked out. The ignite is burned, but it's not enough. But they do get 1 back. They get 2 back. Keria outplaying the diff and still has the wherewithal to get last hits under turret and pick up the cannon. This is going to be the biggest Renata Glask that we've seen at this Worlds 2023. It's going to be shimmer injected. Oh man, that is tragedy for JDG. And when we're talking about who's going to be able to come down from the adrenal rush, I mean, that invade, the team that you're invading, sometimes you want to back down and go for more stoic presence and say, hey, we're the better team, we don't need to do anything special, we'll let them try to bring the game to us, and we'll try to outperform. This is something that we saw last week. If you're the better team, that can always be a game plan. Just, I'm going to weather the storm, play it out. If you try to up it, and especially the decision to invade when JDG was clearly already a little bit overhyped last game, when they didn't end the game when they could have had that, now we might be talking about like those elevated heart rates really affecting gameplay. Now this is interesting. Good play by Kanavi. He's actually hovering the play right now. So we've got Varus and Ashe with a deliberate amount of poke, keeping this freeze in range. Keria and Guma are trying to stay in XP range. That's all they need to get. They don't need to go for anything else. But Ruler and Missing actually stepping back. The clock is ticking. They expect that that's the extent of Wukong's hovering time. It coincides with Rel showing up. Rel's presence alleviates all the pressure, and it allows them to get the push off. So JDG missing a window to close the door there. That is a big, big deal. We already saw that the dive in bot got turned around on him. Let's take a look. They get the good aggro on Guma. Shields are down, multiple people being hit, so Renata gets that for themselves. The fact that we get the flash and we still get the kill, jumps over the wall and throws the handshake, levels up the ability because of the level spike. That's what you have to be careful of when you're going for these dives under the turret. Oh boy. That's that cliff that we talk about. If you're up here and something goes wrong, you can just plummet. Sometimes you don't even need something to go wrong. Right? Sometimes just the matter that you get into hyperdrive too quickly or you stay in that sustained level. It tends to not happen at the beginning of a game, but because of the level of hype from last game, the fact that you won a tense game after making some mistakes in the macro execution at the end of the game, you might still have that elevated cortisol level. Then you go for an invade. Then you go for this dive in the bot lane. You're putting a lot of pressure on yourself, right? And then when that fails, that drop down can be drastic. You need to take that deep breath, box breath with me, breathe in for 4 seconds and hold for 4, and then exhale. And just spending that time, right? You can do it every single time that you go back to base, spending that time for yourself to realize where you're feeling angst, where you're feeling nerves. Are you feeling butterflies in your stomach, or are your hands starting to jitter? Are your fingers getting cold? When you breathe, you can actually put energy into the place of your body where you're feeling that imbalance. And then you can try to reset yourself. And by establishing your baseline, knowing exactly what you're expecting of yourself, then you can come to terms with, okay, I'm hyped, or I'm a little bit too jacked up right now. And when you reach that level, you need to bring yourself back down. You don't want to be riding that roller coaster up here, adrenaline to the maximum, because then if you do get those failures, those small failures turn into massive drops. Anyways, because of the first blood and because Wukong was able to get more camps out of the early path, they do still have a gold lead for themselves. They also have that plate in the bot lane, but we're going to see whether or not this Kalista and Renata can take advantage of lack of flashes here, especially from Ashe. Will they look to get aggressive? We saw Wukong shadowing this lane a lot, expecting Renekton to just solo kill or solo win against the Aatrox. Rel's going to continue hovering this spot, looking to punish any amount of over aggression. And realistically, all it takes is one spell to miss, right? One spell to hit for T1, one spell to miss for JDG, and that should be the go sign for T1. Now, they have Giant Spell on Renata, making her much more capable of going for those auto attacks, something that Kalista's looking for. We talk about it a lot when you pair these two champions. They're trying to hit the same target. They both have passes that are going to hit percent max health damage. So as many times as you can get two autos on the same target, you're absolutely going to go for it. Now this is right here, a little common trick that we see. Well, actually, we're going to pause because we've got the ultimates going in the top lane. If Aatrox can hold on to theirs, they're going to call this a big win. Tries to wait until a turret shot's going to pop. Ends up getting the flash in response. So definitely an outplay from Zeus. 369, I think for a moment, thought that he might have the kill. Ends up going a little bit aggressively. Zeus was trying to bait out one turret shot and could have flipped that on the one shot. Ends up getting the flash from Renekton. So Aatrox is going to feel really good. I want to mention what they did right there. Varus was hovering his Q, and you saw the two targets. They were here and here. They actually moved together, and this is something that they did previously in the tournament. They gave themselves about a 5 degree of separation, and it makes it very tempting for your opponent to throw the Q in between both because there's a chance of hitting both of you, and then they both sidestep back to the outside. That's something that if I'm playing against T1, I'm going to use against them. I'm going to expect them to dash together and then move apart and then single out one of them because they won't be moving as one. All right, Ashe flashing in for the heal. T1 getting the first kill here, 4-2. Ashe gets one cleanup. Super deadly champion once you have the empowered Q. Keria, even with the giant spell, is not going to have enough. Ends up using the ultimate to try to zone Ashe, but it's not enough. And this is the strength of that champion. Early boots, you're going to see early serrated Dirk and Umbroglaive to try to play for those spikes, and you basically try to use the early laning pressure. Now you have to continue being aggressive on this pick. The problem is if you get a little bit too aggressive against both of these two, you might get an all-in situation fed back at you. But now without Renata's ultimate, that might be a little bit harder. Also, Renata ultimate being down means that you take away one of the aggressive pairings. Sometimes you can use Kalista ultimate. You can grab the Renata, throw her onto the fight, who immediately casts her R on top of the knocked up target to get extra crowd control time. You have to be very careful when you do that to make sure that the Berserk is not hitting you though. All right, Talia hits the engage. Azir throws out the ultimate. All right, so they did bite one to start that off. Q flash from Owner. Good position. Zeus flashing back over the wall. Ashe arrow hits is what actually turns this fight from being even worse. I like that T1 comes together. They go to fight Kanavi as one. Talia getting big knockups both times. So individual, superior play there from the Talia. Has the wherewithal to realize, like, wait, I still need to cast my ultimate here to help the Ashe out. Even swings back for a moment, buys her teammate a little bit of time. Now, it is at the expense of your own ultimate. That said, rank 1 of Talia ultimate's kind of blank. Has such a low range. They're not expecting to get much done. All right, they have the read that Aatrox flash is down, so they can try to make an all-in right here. Wukong's going to grab aggro. No, Renekton's going to grab aggro. Wukong's going to try to close it down and get the knockups. Renekton walks away unscathed with the extra HP from the Dominus. Very well played. That's going to result in several plates going down. This is actually a pretty big deal. Now, opposite side of the map, they know that Wukong goes for a dive. T1 is one of the best teams in the world at this. The moment that your jungler shows on one side of the map, they show aggression on the opposite side. Now, Talia is already here to cover, trying to pincer them off. If they can get them at the wrong angle, Talia can wall them inside that turret. Basically has to be looking to do it from the Rek'Sai angle right here, throw this line across. Doesn't even have access to it. T1 should have that timer down. If they're tracking things perfectly. Of course, as tension rises and as the stakes get higher and higher, it becomes harder and harder to accurately assess those cooldowns, and the team that's able to do it better might have a significant advantage here. Again, keeping yourself cool, going optimizing. You get yourself activated to that level where you can perform, but where you're not on overdrive. Overdrive, you start making mistakes. That's going to be the big theme that we look for in this game. Now, JDG 1.7k gold lead. Going to love that, but this game, already down 2 dragons, means that T1 can just make this game last forever and will have the scaling advantage. Callista is the only position that doesn't scale, but we do have a lethality build from Varus, so he's not even trying to build for any amount of endgame damage. This team is going to spike in the mid game, all of their ultimates synergizing, and then they're going to get outscaled. Let's look at this early aggro. We see Aatrox trying to pin them as Rel draws the aggro, pulls everyone together. Berserk from Renata, very well played. Zeus going to bite the dust, but it's not going to be enough to get a kill, or is it? That would have been sick. They actually could have taken that much longer, and if they secure that kill and Renata brings them back to life, they could have called that a complete win. Instead, they just get the 1 for themselves. It'll be enough pressure to drop the Herald and get some gold, but they could have absolutely gotten some more out of this. So showing our first chinks in the armor from T1. Now, one of the things that we talk about with Rift Herald, we see that charge going off. It doesn't look like anyone was able to partake in the gold share. Whenever you're playing this engage style support, if you are going to get your item spike off of that charge, it's worth. And the fact that you have your item means that you can affect other lanes. And that's exactly what we see here, that she gets the Radiant Virtue and can use it in the side lanes. But if it's beyond that point, you don't actually want your jungler to get any more of this gold. You want to give it to your solo lanes for the carry. You see the power of the Ashe right here, 4-second ultimate on top of Aatrox, who always got the aggro. Now, the whole team should be fighting right here, right? No reason for Carrier and Faker not to be maxing their DPS, because they've got the second life onto Aatrox. And if they had gotten that kill and he comes back to life, he survives, he dashes out. Suddenly, you're talking about a completely one-sided victory. All right, Kanagi taking an extra turret shot. Guma is staying alive only barely. Was that a panic ult right there? Picking up carry, I don't know that he needed to do that. Maybe it was for his own self-peel in case Carrier needed to find that window. So JDG looking very, very strong now. 2.5k gold lead, has the turret in hand. That's what you expect to get out of this Varus Ashe lane. Dominant poke. The time investment from Kanavi is paying off. The fact that they invaded bot. This is different from yesterday's script, right? Yesterday we saw drafts that meant that you wanted to pull to that side of the map, and especially talking about the AD carries, right? A meta where you want to invest to this. You want to invade South Quadrant. You want to control this side of the map so that you can empower these 2 champions to play to their maximum strength. Yesterday we didn't see that, and that's why we see Weibo in the finals and not BLG. Frankly, both teams did not do it particularly well, and that'll be a problem for them coming into the finals, because T1 and JDG know what their plan is. They play towards their strength, and that can be the difference between just that singular play, that simplicity of your team's objective, and just staying on your own team metagame. Like, what is your team trying to accomplish? Making it nice and simple for yourselves and playing towards that narrative. Now, JDG, speaking of which, they need to continue putting their foot on the gas, right? Aatrox is going to outscale the Renekton. Azir's going to outscale Talia. All right, Callista even is going to outscale Varus, although they're going to play in different ways, right? We're looking for a big poke here, whereas you're looking for skirt the fight all in. Callista wants to be the last one standing after everyone's already cast their abilities. Might be a little bit tough this game because of how readily Ashe, Wukong, Varus can hold you down, plus the fact that you have Talia to stop the dashes. So JDG's put together a really nice team composition for themselves. They've got a nice lead. They should be able to parlay this into Baron when it spawns. The problem is they don't have any threat of dragons, right? T1 can allow this game to just go and go and go and try to scale this on. I expect them to make this a 35 or 40 minute game. Now, we were talking about JDG maybe being overhyped. Giving them an aggressive plan to say, all right, I'm going to use that hype and play aggressively. That can be a benefit, you know, the fact that they put that together for themselves. Now, will they panic? if T1 actually gets this dragon. They're here in the river first. Ashe is gonna basically have to blind throw their spells if they want to get in here. They do draw the aggro, they pull the dragon out. Now they're gonna play for vision. Ashe is able to play over walls better than most supports in the game. Uses the hawk shot. Now JDG is heavily favored here. This is not the fight that T1 wants. They got here first, they were not able to get to the dragon, so now they have to tax the maximum for the time that JDG spends here. Can they get the mid turret? Right? That should be their objective. Or if there's a mistake, can we fight for it? Now, JDG could have defended this control ward. Instead, they opt not to. Now they're expending more spells. Owner's not actually phased by this. Flash is over the wall. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. They find the window. Berserk over the top hits all 5 champions. Are you kidding me? They're going to win this fight on the back of that. Owner gets the smite. We got multiple people zoned by the Renekton, but are you really, are we trapped in here with you, or are you trapped in here with us? Well, generally when it's 4-on-1, it tends to be the latter. Singular outplay, guys. Owner flashing over the Ashe arrow. The fact, like, missing shouldn't have even cast it, frankly. You had the presence, and the team should have held this line of scrimmage. They're stronger. There's no reason to give up any amount of darkness or fog. You see, after this fight is finished, they have no lingering vision. They didn't have any vision left over here. Just the Scuttle Shrine and this one zombie ward, right? That's what they're playing off of. Owner jumps over the Ashe arrow saying, okay, that tool is gone. You don't have it for the Callista. That means I get my engage. That means it's very easy for Azir to follow up. Azir actually punts the stopwatch here. You did not need to zone yet. The whole team was knocked up. There was no counterplay coming. They end up getting 3 kills for 0, and they get the dragon. That is such a big deal for their chances to win the game. What is going through the minds of JDG now? Who's going to be the calming presence? Hey, we got this. We can still do this. We're still stronger. Take a deep breath. Let's set up, try to get the fight that we're looking for, right? They didn't get the shape that they wanted. They should have been able to hold this line of scrimmage and then play for Renekton to come and flank, drop the hammer to the anvil. Now, most hammer to anvil type compositions have something like Nautilus here instead of Ashe. Sometimes you get caught in a position where all of these champions want to kite backwards, and Wukong's not tanky enough to be that anvil, right? You have 3 ranged characters and a squishy-ish fighter in the jungle, not a tank, right? It's not Maokai, it's not Sejuani. Hold on. Oh, that was a Z. All right, okay. All right, just remounting, I should say. E plus W, changing directions, making it look like he's riding in, but turning around. It's amusing how that animation looks like the dive in. Obviously going from melee to mounted, it's always going to be that. You see the poke from Ruler. He's going to finish his Manamune and try to get that online before this Baron. Absolutely going to be gated on whether or not he can finish this Manamune and whether or not they can make that poke hurt. Extra 50 gold for the team. 500 total being passed around, a lot of it local. For Taliyah getting that turret down. Renekton's off in the side lane. Now, no teleport. This is something that they need to fix quickly. Taliyah just came down. Now, the fact that Taliyah's not pathing to bot is actually pretty concerning to me. Hold on. Did Ruler just get caught out? Guys, this is a Varus. Varus does not have the mobility tools. You cannot afford to be in that position as that champion, especially at this spot. He might have been greeting for a little bit of CS. We talked about how important it is for him to get that next upgrade. T1 punishing another mistake here from JDG. Now, we were talking about the position. Even if they don't catch Varus here, the fact that Taliyah was moving here and Renekton was down in the bot wave was necessitating an early rotation. We'll pause that discussion as we look at the pit right now. Taliyah trying to wall the pit in half actually does her own team a disservice. Doesn't quite get enough people. They all hide into the left side. Now, is Wukong going to find his way in? He gets the red buff for himself. Azir prophylactically casting the ultimate to make sure that Wukong gets knocked out. If he does decide to go in, ends up trying to get in anyways, and T1 gets this for themselves. Things are going from bad to worse for JDG. T1 getting the maximum, having the wherewithal to get this. Are they still going to be able to kill Renekton? No, they actually get out. Hold on. Taliyah and Varus getting them maximum amount of punish for this overcommit. They actually survived this. Wow. Okay. That was clutch, guys. Look at this wall of vision. Boom, 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 boom. 6, 7, 8 wards placed within one screen. just saying, no, we absolutely want to have this vision as this fight is breaking out. It gives us the opportunity to come through this channel. We see the vision diff at the end of this, right? They came in from this angle. What did T1 need to do? So, interesting play by Faker, using all of his cooldowns to try to throw Wukong out of the pit. It does block him, ends up getting that kill for themselves. Now Zeus and the team saying, hey, we can go for this kill, we need to go on Renekton, but that is a Dominus inflated Renekton. Once you go, Keria cannot come back through there. You have to commit as a team, and then you have to make this happen, and then you have to escape along this wall, right? Get your cooldowns back after you reach. The fact that you don't get those kills, Renekton getting alive, you spend all of those cooldowns to try to get the Renekton and you're unable to get it. This means JDG is going to be in a really good spot. Now I say that, but Faker survives with the Baron buff, so they still come out. Guma also has it as well. Hold on, they find an angle. They're trying to keep a Wukong out of this area. This is for the soul. Now normally you see them push for mid a little bit longer. They try to strangle you, they force you into the mid lane. They're actually drawing their own line of scrimmage here on the bottom right. They're trying to keep Kanabi out of the pit, right? That's the play that they're going for. Now, what are you going to do right now? Talia's actually forcing the angle. They say, we don't want you to kite down. Again, could have asked for more out of this position. Now they're going for an engage onto Rel, but Renata's ultimate is just so good around the pits. They're able to get that kill for themselves. Now they do get the dragon in return. Aatrox is still going to feel pretty strong, but Ashe, like, are you actually engaging on the Ashe or are you engaging on the rest? They decide to go on the rest. They have to continue moving away from the Ashe. Ashe does not have any tools to get back into this fight. She has to just chase after, and she has to be careful about every bush that she goes into. And at any moment, you could have a turnaround right on her face, right? And that's exactly what happens. They do get the Ashe in return. They say, we can't continue going for this fight. We don't want to have Ashe peppering us from behind. Let's just kill the Ashe and get back, call it a reset. Very, very tense game, giving us, flashbacks to what MSI was like. That was such a banger of a series. These fights are on a nice edge. Love to see this level of execution. The Talia wall made things very interesting, right? By putting that wall here and saying, hey, how are you going to bridge the gap between your carries and your jungler? Rel, though, tanky enough, right? Very happy to just be in this position. Says, I'm going to keep on holding this flanking spot. Now, she actually drops the wall. They may have wanted to keep that up for longer, but Renata throwing it across the gate is just such an impactful spell here. Airborne means that Smite can't come out. They end up getting those synergies to get the Smite together. Renekton, they have to wait for this to pause out. I'm surprised that they're taking this aggressive of a stance. Not really, right? They have the kill, so they're feeling pretty strong. They've got their cooldowns back up, is what they're playing for. Renekton with Dominus could have tried to re-engage there, especially with his own cooldowns coming back up, but would have been a very, very tense spot for themselves. Frankly, for JDG, if we're talking about the script that they want to end this game before 30 minutes, they probably should have gone for the rest of that fight. All right, Azir's porting in. They're going for the Ashe. This is Ashe's weakness. Will die to all solos, to all attention later in the game. JDG needs to punish by going elsewhere and aggressing on the rest of them. They can't actually get anything, which means that T1 is going to be up a champion as they prepare for the Baron. 20 seconds left on the spawn means they're going to be okay. They will be able to come back and fight for the lines of scrimmage, but T1's going to have the first chance to get in here. So you see first line of wards being dropped. They go for the push in mid. Renata's going to go grab another set of wards, and then you're going to look for, again, a mid push into a deep ward in the lane and a deep ward in the jungle. That's what you want to get in that second rotation. Now, Aatrox feeling very, very strong in the side lanes, has outscaled, ends up going for that lethality build again, saying, I want to deal the maximum amount of damage in these fights. We're going to rely on Renata and Rel to just hold them in place for as long as possible. And I need to be able to deal the maximum in the time frame of an Azir scoop, right? One ult from Rel, one ult from Azir. We need everything to count in that frame. And that's what you can do when you're playing Renata, especially. You can go for extra damage. I love seeing this. Everyone being optimized for extra damage, right? Even the Sork Shoes, Ludens, and now we're going to have the Void Staff coming out. This is exactly what I like to see when you're synergizing your kits, right? These two people can create enough lockdown. Then you have the scoop from Azir. So, and the flank here from Aatrox. In that time frame, you need to deal the maximum amount of damage so that Kalista can roam freely in the fight. If you're trying to go for this too much of a slow and steady approach, then Kalista's the one who pays the price for that. But everyone going for high burst damage, you put the, what's the word I'm looking for? Put the pressure on Keria to play Renata well. You know that he can do it. He's the best player. You want to put the ball in your best playmaker's hands at the end of the game. And Keria might be the single best player on this team, right? Largely considered the best support in the world. So you say, hey, we're gonna ask you to be on point with your W. We want you to be on point with your E. And more than anything, we want you on point with your R. All right, Baron is up. T1 has the option to fork this. They've got both plays. Owner ends up tanking this. How much burst damage is going to go on to Rel? They end up getting the pick for free. That is a big, big deal. Now, JDG actually can take this game and actually carry through the Baron fight. Now, you have to be very careful. If you have any amount of chink in your armor, and T1's able to survive for any amount of time, then they can actually turn this into the soul. Now, they might say, Zeus, you sacrifice yourself and let's just go get the dragon for ourselves. Or they might try to get the fight here by the Raptor Pit. They opt to try to protect Zeus, which means that they're going to have to give everything. Now, JDG should put one person on duty to stop Kalista from taking this dragon. They can take the Baron, but under this high pressure situation and the fact that they lost track of mid means that they might just go for the Baron. Baron is the better buff, but you tend to not want to give up the soul as well. You were strong enough where you could have defended both. They have this ward here in the mid lane. They definitely saw it, but they make the call to go for the Baron. Now, generally, soul, Cloud Soul, one of the best in the game, probably the best at this level, right? Because the speed moving through means that you have advantage on every rotation at all times. You can choose fights, you can move away from fights, you can rotate, as long as you don't get yourself walled in. That said, we've got a big Weaver's Wall to deal with, and we've got big engage tools. 1, 2, 3, 4. All of these are going to try to go and force that hammer to the anvil. As we said before, they're going to try to force these fights. They're going to create the siege situation. This is their last hurrah, right? If they don't get significant base damage, I'm talking about all three of these. Sorry, misdrawn line. I'm talking about all three of these inners being pushed down. If they can't get all of that, then T1's still going to be stronger. All right, Asher is being used. They end up flashing away. They get the beginning of the siege. T1 is scrambling, flashing away, owner dashing over the wall. Good start by JDG on this siege. They also have flank wards on the right side. That means that they intend to play for the bottom turret next. Hold on, Faker finds his engage. They find Varus. Boom. Alley-oop with the Rel. Renata gets a huge ultimate. The entire team pops. Oh my goodness, they just caught the perfect engage. Bronze Zodiac comes clutch, and they actually ace them. All right, can they end? 40 seconds from this position is enough to end if you have Baron and you have your whole team, or you have the entire stacked AD carry. You might not quite be strong enough, but they're going to try. They're going to tank. All right, this is the sign that they're going for the end. Owner's actually holding on to the aggro. This is a mistake that a lot of people make. They try to kite back. You're actually just better off continuing to hit the turret. Are they going to go for the finish right now? 6 more seconds on Ashe. They've got enough. We said that 40 seconds was enough time, and everybody but Ashe was over that 40-second threshold. They're going for it. The fact that they kept the minion wave alive means the cannon is here. T1 finds the win